Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the ADickDid podcast with your host, Jake. That's me. Man, I'm hating these intros more and more of the time. The more and more I do them cringy like that. Um, we're gonna step into episode 10 today. I'm gonna call this College Antics. It's gonna be a lot of college stories, kind of stuff that I did in college addiction wise, or maybe just fun little here and there stories about it. But I am going to start off with our Google Doodle, but because it's the holidays and I'm recording this on Christmas, we know it's just this stupid fucking holiday one. And we're going to click the I'm feeling lucky button, which scrolled to I'm feeling adventurous. And it has popped up Google random number generator. Wow, that is fucking crazy. We got a random number generator. Not what I wanted at all. Kind of hoping it would take me to a fucking article about something we could talk about, but I guess that's all we're gonna get. Yeah, cool. The random number it generated was 2, and then 6, and then 9, and then 1. I can find similarities about all of those numbers and call it not random, but I'm a psychopath. Um, let's start off with some college addiction statistics, which is just the first thing that pops up on Google usually. According to USA Today studies, about half of the nation's 5.4 million college students admit to binge drinking or taking drugs at least once per month. Remember, these are all people who are admitting to shit. 5.4 million admitting to it? Holy fuck, that's too many people. Additionally, the National Institute on Drug Abuse found that although marijuana use is very high, prescription drugs and illicit drugs are becoming more and more popular. Yeah, it's kind of like both sides of the legal spectrum make sense. It's like if we make it illegal, it'll make it harder for people to get it, but more people are going to do it. But if you make it legal, it's going to be easier for people to use, hence why it's becoming higher and higher use. Uh, but there's always going to be those people looking for the shit that's more potent or this or that. Like, the legal spectrum's a very hard thing to argue for me. Because, well, actually, it's very easy for me to argue because I see both sides of the coin. Uh, moving on from that, let's go to specifically alcohol statistics. What do we got? What do we got? What percentage of college students drink alcohol? 80%. It's fucking insane. 80% of college students, fucking 4 out of every 5 consume alcohol to some degree. It's estimated that 50% of those students engage in binge drinking. It's fucking crazy that half of our college students are binge drinking. No wonder our national intelligence rate is going down. No wonder I'm a fucking idiot because I'm an alcoholic. Uh, okay, so the rate of substance abuse, both drugs and alcohol, among college students has risen steadily in recent years. A recent study found that 37% of college students regularly used an illegal drug. That's over a third of our students are using illegal drugs. That's fucking wild. That almost makes us depressed about this world. Fucking Christ. This is from like timelycare.com. It's a substance abuse blog. That's interesting. I imagine that's run by some sad individual in this world who cares about the outcome of reality. I would actually really love to know how they get these statistics and numbers, because the way I think about it is, do they go on the internet to each government's website, go to each school or like each state's percentages, and then take all the percentages from all 50 states and then average them and do all the fucking math and all that nonsense to break it down into like this is the country's bullshit? Or do we have like a census thing that picks up all that, like, or picks all that up, like asks people these questions and it all goes into one place, and then they kind of just have to do the writing from that one cent- center of information, or if someone has to do like the crazy work and actually go to these schools and ask all this shit, because these are some fucking wild numbers, and over a third of students using illegal drugs is fucking insane to me. Absolutely fucking mind-boggling. Okay, let's uh let's start stepping into the more personal me stories that have to do with my college experience. I went to college for automotive technology and research. I attended approximately 4 years of college for a 2 year degree. The way that works out is I spent about a year ish before taking the general stuff, writing, reading, math, physics, the stuff you have to take before you go into the 2 year automotive program that the college I went to provides. Those 2 years were broken down with some of the same people you start your program with, because obviously they're going to be taking those same classes. Um, Either way, we started our program with 45 to 48 students, and the first time I went, uh, that class graduated with I think 18 or like 23 of their students. It's a very demanding, very critical program that requires a lot of hard work, dedication, and commitment. Something I was not too keen on or good with at the time, but that's also why I was going, because I felt like I needed to grow up in this world and obtain something that required more than just my good looks and terrible comedy. So the first year of college is like engines, electrical, and like manual transmissions, stuff like that. And I did my first two labs by myself because my partner was sick. Good old Taylor. He uh, he graduated that first time through, and he is still a well off auto tech career guy as far as I know. But doing those first two labs by myself definitely helped me prepare for a real working job by yourself. You don't always have a partner, you don't always have help. Uh, Something you're going to need to learn in this world real quick. I had one of the greatest automotive instructors of all time, Steve Agee. He was the head of the department for as long as was explained when I was there, but I lost, like, he left being the head of the department after my first attempt through. But that was not the end of the story for him. He was one of the most excellent teachers for showing you how to do something and making you look like a fucking idiot at the same time. He could teach you something, make three jokes, and probably do a whole master class on automotive in his sleep. The guy was a fucking legend. He would always like go by people doing their projects and be like, make sure you're doing that tight. Make sure it's TIT tight. I don't know how many people approve or like that sense of humor now, but I thought that was fucking funny. Uh, After he quit doing head of the department, doing all the manual transmissions classes and all that, we had Brian McLaren step up, the beard of knowledge. He was in all ways probably the most intelligent man I've ever met in my life. He was renowned for almost the same thing Steve was, which was having a great sense of humor and knowing a lot. He could teach you about things that didn't even have to do with automotive that were so intricate and wild you would be surprised what this man could pull out of a hat. He also taught the next term, or everything after first term electrical. First term electrical was left to Sam, who taught that and or manual transmission. Sorry, he would teach us. Sam was such an interesting individual. He always had a food-related analogy, like let's crack open this turkey or let's butter this biscuit. Like it was always something food-related with him, which made me wonder why he went into automotive. Maybe because his dad was also, I think, head of the department at one point for automotive, or either that or he taught the same classes as Sam did. Either way, guy was really interesting. Kooky guy. We didn't always get off uh, on the right foot. We almost always argued about stuff. But I definitely respect and think he is a incredible teacher. That's for sure. Um, I I should have passed that electrical class, but it was my own ignorance that stopped me. I will get to that. We'll come back to the electrical thing. We had a manual trans lab, but I drove a automatic transmission car and I had automatic transmission problems. And because we were in manual trans, we're not allowed to work on automatic trans. It's too far advanced for us little chillers. Little chillers can't work on the auto trans if we haven't mastered the manual trans. And to this day, I kind of disagree and agree. I I really needed to get my trans gasket fixed, replaced, and a new filter in my car because it was leaking a lot. And one day I was like, "Hey, can I like do this even though it's not this?" And he was like, "No, you still have work to do on that, and it's completely out of like the schedule or whatever." And I'm like, "Well, okay, whatever. I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna do it on lunch." He was like, "That's not a good idea." I did it on lunch anyways. I did it on lunch and I did 87% of the job, I would say. I did almost all of it. It was so close to being done. I should have had enough time, but but I fucked up and I didn't remember it had to run for a while getting filled with fluid. I thought I could just pour the fluid in, call it good. But no, I spent like 15 minutes a lab filling my car with transmission fluid while my instructor sat there and shook his head at me and told me that was a bad move or whatever. And I very high key, very luckily did not get expelled or kicked out for that because I really shouldn't have done that. But man's got to do what a man's got to do. And then there was electrical, which was a very easy class. Should not have gotten past me, but I was just so clueless and trapped in a relationship I wasn't happy with, and not. I think I was happy at that time, but I wasn't like. I knew there was a end to the end to the fucking what the fuck am I trying to say? Runway. There was an end at the runway, and I don't know. My brain just wasn't in it. And then I failed, and because that program is a very structured throughout the year program, one term, second term, third term, fourth term kind of thing, I had to return to the beginning, and that's why I got a new set of people with my second time, and that was maybe another 45 person. Yeah, I think the first time was like 48 people. This one was 45 people, and we only graduated with. Fuck, I should find my graduation photo and find out. There were. Aha! I have found it. There were 17 graduates out of a 45 person class. So, yeah, if that shows how much bullshit you have to put up with, that should do it. We had our last year of the program, or no, not the last year. The last term of the program is 9-hour shifts. You are working as if you were working, and that was definitely some of the most fun, intense, like bullshit I've ever had to do in my life. If I ever recommend some college to someone, I always recommend doing something physical so you actually have like a lot. I feel like physical things build better memories. Not that you can't do it with other things, but I think if you go through like an automotive or a robotics program, you're gonna learn a lot and you're gonna have a lot of fun memories afterwards. Sometime in my first time through, or my first year, I guess, in automotive, I was asked if I needed a job in automotive while I was going through college, and I was asked this from another student in a writing class I had. He said, "Me and my friend are co-owners in a business starting up a automotive shop in Scioto, which would be 45 minutes from where I am about." And I'm like contemplating it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to drive 45 minutes to work every day, but it would also be kind of nice to like get some money while I go through this program. I talked to him about it. He gives me some details. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll come check out the shop and see what it's like. I come look at the place, and it looks very new. Like they're not new as in they have a lot of new stuff, but new as in they're starting up. It looks like a beginner business. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, do I really want to be part of a business that doesn't have what it needs to get stuff rolling? Do I want to watch this fail? Or do I want to be part of it succeeding and building past what I can see it being right now? And I like walk around. There's this little shop next door with an old guy. I think his name is Bob. Funny ass guy. Old automotive guys always have a great sense of humor. I don't know why, but they do. And this guy just, he kind of like, he almost roped me into it. Just him. And he wasn't even part of it really. He was just a friend of the guys. And we're like talking, chatting, whatever. And I go, I go home. And I talk to my girlfriend about it. I decide I'm gonna go through with it. And I get the orientation or whatever time, which is at his house, the guy who owns it, not the guy I went to class with. And it's just yeah, it's like a barbecue in his backyard, like a family barbecue. It's a very close knit like family business, and I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. It's chiller. It's not too stressful. We're all having a good time. But I definitely felt kind of like odd vibes, weird vibes coming from these people. And I was like, all right, whatever, and go about my business. I give them all my information. Like they take my like pictures of my ID or whatever. They do the tax information, whatnot, the W-2. Like he does all this in his fucking attic, like he's running a business. And I'm like, all right, this seems pretty fucking legit. And I go home. I think my girlfriend at the time really wanted some cats, so he like went to get cats or something. I don't know. And that's not really the part of the story that matters. And then like I get this time to go do a job, and I'm like out there doing this job, and the guy tells me we don't really have like a clock in clock out machine right now. We just write our hours on the whiteboard. And I'm like, okay, that's sketchy, but whatever. I'll write my hours on the whiteboard. I'm doing this job. I'm like fixing up some shit, pulling like a uh exhaust head off a fucking semi truck or some shit, and it was so like nonchalant that they were like, if you don't finish your project, just go, and like our guy Asa will come finish it when he gets in. And I like did a really good job of like keeping it clean or like keeping it organized or whatever. Asa comes in, finishes it up behind me, no complaints or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is just how it's gonna be. This weird fucking place. I go a couple more times, and they're like, yeah, you can just like work into the middle of the night if you want. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd and contradictory to what you told me before about like if I don't finish my project in time, I can just leave. And then now it's like you can work into the middle of the night. So I'm like, okay. It gives me this job to like pull the lights off of the top of a not a semi truck, but a fucking tow truck. So I'm up on the ramp of this tow truck taking the fucking lights off in the middle of the night, pouring rain in the shop. The fucking doors are slamming everywhere, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this is so weird. Pulling lights off of semi trucks in the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay. Finish up my job for the night. I clean up, and I'm like calling my girlfriend, telling her I'll be home, and my fucking phone dies. And I've never done this drive without like a map of some sort. I don't have a physical one. I have my phone. So yeah, I'm kind of like a little millennial little bitch right now. Couldn't find my way home. So I took like I think 2 hours to get fucking home. I in the pouring rain in the middle of the night, and I get home like that's all fucking fine and dandy. It's weird. I think it starts going over like Thanksgiving break or whatever, and I get a call from my grandma that's like, "Hey, I saw this weird thing in the newspaper. It sounds like it's the business you're working at. Do you want to come look at it?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I walk over, and my grandma shows me a picture of my boss's face in the newspaper for being an unregistered sex offender. And I went, I'm never going back. I didn't go collect my check. I didn't go do shit. I never contact them again. I'm out, right? Because they have my information, they have all this shit, and this is what he's getting like put in the paper for. I'm done. I don't want anything to do with that shit. So I stayed the fuck out of that for the rest of the time. And I think the craziest fucking part was like it was in the it was in the fucking paper for Kaiser, and this is like some shit that's happening in Salem and Scio, and like it's just fucking wild to me. But the moral of the story, or the point that full circles to the beginning of this episode that I want you all to take in, is I was an alcoholic through all of this. And maybe if I wasn't so focused on the drinking and the booze and the fucking weed, maybe my mind would have been clear enough to see the signs that this was a bad idea and I shouldn't even started working there in the first place. But here we are. It was I think, a pretty good story to tell later on in life. I'm glad I'm not part of it now. I'm glad I wasn't like they didn't try to rope me into any of the other nonsense. I guess fucking sends shivers up my fucking spine to think. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I am a statistic in what we said at the beginning of the third of students who were, or not a third of the illicit drug, but the 50% of fucking drinking alcoholic college students. I was going through college, I was an alcoholic, and then I get roped into this crazy shit. If I didn't have my girlfriend at the time, I don't know if I would have gotten out of it, or if I didn't see the newspaper article, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe I ended up dead from these people, who knows, right? So let's just take that into account. That was a lucky break for me. So to round out this episode, I was thinking instead of doing the am I the asshole read through Reddit and I like yada yada read through each story and I do it slow and boring, what if I just read the fucking title and just say yes or no, you're an asshole or you're not an asshole, and we do like speed am I the asshole, and we don't give a shit about their story. We just judge them like they're a book and they're a cover. Here we go. Am I the asshole for telling my female 28 sister-in-law that her female 32 sister-in-law that her okay son is not my responsibility? Yes, you're an asshole. Am I the asshole for making my daughter write an apology letter over comments about Christmas gifts? No, people should have to write apology letters when they fuck up. Am I the asshole for my best friend's 5-year-old son seeing me naked? I don't know if you're an asshole, but you're definitely weird. Am I the asshole for taking my kids away from their grandparents? Absolutely not. Fuck them. I'm kidding. Yeah, you're an asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my sister don't dish it if you can't take it? No, you're not the asshole. If they can't dish it, if or they can't take it, they shouldn't be dishing it. Absolutely accurate. And that's the one we'll round it out on for the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the ADickDid podcast. Thank you for listening to my ramblings and all my segments. We are about 2 episodes away, or an episode away from season 2, where we'll get some intro, outro music, and a guest appearance that may or may not turn into a co-host. I think these would have better bounce off energy with a second person. Hopefully, you guys listening agree. But otherwise, hit me up if you have questions, concerns, comments, anything. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you come back next week for another episode, and peace. Oh, and don't forget, on my YouTube channel. One sec. On YouTube.com. Raising at Raising Lazarus. We do the weekly Halo stuff. We do Monday Ranked. We are going to do Story Tuesdays starting probably in January. Wednesdays is this podcast. Thursdays is Firefight. Friday is Casual Gameplays. And then the weekends are the weekends. Thank you again so much for listening, and peace out, Cub Scout.